Sometimes I would think that maybe it's because I'm a girl, I'm biologically a little bit different. I would still definitely come to that I'm a girl and I just don't know how to do this.
My major is mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering.
Ecology, evolution, and behavior.
I'm currently majoring in biomedical engineering and it's my last semester. My dad is actually an engineer, an aerospace engineer, and he really set the stage for me in what it's like to be in engineering and really didn't, make it seem like it would be too much as a female. That's really what got me interested in going into it in college.
It had always come out of my artistic inclinations. So I had always loved Disney, I had always loved different types of art, and I loved the way that themed entertainment, as we know it today, employs such technological innovation in order to tell such an immersive story to guests and audiences.
When I was in 7th grade, my grandma was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and it was really hard on our family because it's a debilitating neurological disorder. But then she got this thing implanted in her brain called the deep brain stimulation system. It's basically this little box that has electrodes on it, and it gets implanted into the brain by the surgeon. They place the electrodes kind of based on scans where there's a lot of activity that cause the tremors, and then you can basically just set this little controlling box that gets placed under the collarbone, and when you turn it on, it stops the tremors. I thought that was so cool, and it helped our family out so much. So then after that, I was like, that's awesome, I want to make medical devices.
In accordance to STEM, my gender, I felt like played a major role at times when things got really challenging, or when I failed my first class. I really looked to the outside that maybe I'm not understanding things right. Now at this point, I obviously can say that everyone comes into college at really different learning stages, and I'm just at a much different stage than others.
One of my freshman year classes, one of our projects that we had to do together was to build a sled. And I remember when we first got together with our group, everyone was kind of like figuring out like the ways we were going to manufacture this sled, and there's people saying, oh yeah, we can do this, and then we can cut our cardboard with a bandsaw, and then we can do this to the plastic. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I've never used a bandsaw before. Like, how come these people know how to use one and I didn't? And so I asked, and they were like, oh, my dad taught me. Like, my dad never taught me how to use that stuff. He was always just kind of like, stay out of my workshop.
A lot of the projects you do and the situations you put in are with like small groups of people. And I have had moments where I feel like as a woman, I feel like I have to speak louder, and I'm more focused on like being heard rather than the material that's coming out of my mouth.
I was at a meeting and expressed an idea that I had for a way that we could abbreviate the schedule for how we were going to complete all of our deadlines. And another guy who's also in the same major as me on our team kind of like reiterated what I said, expressed it, and then he took a minute and then he looked at me and he said, I just mansplained what you said. I'm sorry. And that was the first time that anyone had apologized to me and made me and the other person aware that that had even happened. I think the biggest thing between different types of people in STEM are these things that we internalize or are just kind of taught to accept.
Sometimes I would feel a little bit like looks do matter. I think it's really important to remember that we're all here because of our brains and what we have on the inside, and no matter what, every single person needs to be taken with the same level of respect and dignity.
Messages to my male counterparts would probably be, let's just continue to mutually respect each other, because that's the only way we're going to proceed forward in whatever careers we're pursuing.
I would say don't be afraid of those moments when maybe somebody calls you out or you think about calling yourself out on behavior like the story that I had said earlier.